Hi everyone, this is Yushin and welcome to another video. In this video, I'll be sharing a detailed tutorial on how you can glaze your polymer clay earrings with resin. So I'm going to start by telling you the difference between epoxy resin and UV resin. You can use either one for glazing your polymer clay. UV resin can be used directly after you pour it out from the bottle, but it does need UV lamp in order to cure, or you can also use the sun. And epoxy resin is a resin that you need to mix in a specific ratio. You need to make sure that it is fully mixed, and you need to wait for around 24 hours for it to fully cure. And in this video specifically, I'll be showing you how you can use epoxy resin, just because both resin are similar, like the steps of using both resin are similar, except that epoxy requires a few more steps. If you're using epoxy resin, you have to make sure that you're wearing a mask, or you're using it at a really well ventilated space. And make sure that you have the right filter for your mask. And when you're using epoxy resin, you can either mix it by its weight or by its volume. So right now I'm mixing it by its weight just because it saves me more cups. I don't have to use a measuring cup. But if you use cups that are made from silicone, then you don't have to worry about wasting any cup because you get to reuse the cups over and over again. And also the ratio between resin and hardener is different if you measure it by volume than weight. So you have to make sure that you have the right numbers. You can either find it on their bottle or on their website. And another important thing is usually resin have a minimum and a maximum mixing amount. So you need to know that as well. Mixing too much resin together at once will cause the resin to cure really fast. And it will produce a bunch of heat as well. So it will feel really hot. And when you're mixing your resin, make sure to scrape the side of the cup as well while mixing, so that even the resin that is sticking on the side of the cups will have a even mix. And after you mix it up, it's going to look like this. So there's a bunch of bubble in it, but we don't have to worry about it at all for this specific purpose, because we will get rid of the bubbles after we apply it to the polymer clay. But just in case, if you need the resin for a different purpose and you're glazing something that is bigger or thicker, then you can get rid of the bubbles by, so there is two different ways that I find really helpful. First is you can let the resin sit for a bit, so sit for like 10 minutes. But make sure you're not letting it sit for too long, because epoxy resin can cure quite fast and it would be a little hard to work with if you have it sit for too long. And another way to help reduce the amount of bubbles is by leaving it in some water that is around 23 to 25 degrees. Make sure that the water is not leaking into the resin or leaking into the cup, because the ideal working temperature of resin is 23 to 25 degrees. You can also make sure that your room temperature is 23 to 25 degrees before you work. And for this specific purpose, we are going to reduce the bubbles by using a torch. See how much bubble there is? There is a bunch, and then you're going to turn on your torch, and then you're just going to lightly heat up the surface of the resin. Be sure that you're not staying at one spot for too long, because overheating it can burn the resin and also burn your polymer clay. Overheating can also cause the resin to stick to the silicone base. And see how satisfying that is? All the bubbles are gone. After you wait for 24 hours, everything is cured. And then you can just remove it from the base. And the base that I'm using is called a pot holder. This is one of my favorite tools when glazing my polymer clay, because when I'm glazing my polymer clay and all the extra resin will leak to the back instead of on the side, and it's just a lot easier to remove and it will not ruin your polymer clay work. And then when you're cleaning the pot holder itself, it's also really easy to clean. You're just going to demold all the extra resin, like all the bigger pieces. And all those small pieces, you can just use a tape and then just stick away all these smaller pieces. And that's all you'll need to know about glazing polymer clay with resin, and see how glossy that is. And I have a video on how you can securely attach earring posts to the back of your polymer clay earrings. And I will put the link of that video down in the description. Hope this video was helpful, and see you guys next time.